Yo.
Yo.
So let's start, and I will do my best to restart and come back, and I will leave you to it. So, hi everyone, and thank you all for joining. We're having some I'm having some difficulties because Adam and Patrick are okay as always. It rarely happened that something went wrong there, but it's a different level anyway. Welcome everyone on our sixth meetup on Romania Power BI and Modern Excel User Group Meetup. Unfortunately, my PC is not working, so it's partially working, so I don't have any slide today. The main idea is that we are very lucky to have Adam and Patrick for a live Q&A session today. I'm really grateful, and I'm very upset that my PC is not working as it should. We'll try to make it as long as the chat is working on the Teams. We'll go on Teams. For everybody else, please stay on mute during the session and write your questions in the chat with a Q in front of them, so we can see them, we can spot them correctly. Normally, I had a Pigeonhole AT Q&A session prepared, and I can give you the link to it, but it doesn't matter much as long as I cannot share my screen. So our next meetup will be on the.
So Christian, if you wanted though, if you have the link, I can share it from my end.
Yes, I have it. It's pigeonhole.at/rawpug6. But we don't have I don't have the admin panel.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's not working.
Okay.
It's working. People can ask the questions, but I don't have the admin panel.
Got it.
All
right.
Anyway, thank you guys for accepting the invitation.
Yeah.
Sorry for these technical issues. I'll try to restart during the session. I hope we can start right away.
Yeah.
With the chat questions, if
Yeah.
there are any questions.
We've got one in there. So folks, if you do have questions, first off, thank you so much for attending. We always love interacting with folks around the world. If you're not familiar with GuyaNaCube, we have a little YouTube channel.
I wanted to say something about it.
Oh, okay. All right. Go for it.
Guys, there is less than 1,000 people subscribers, so that GuyaNaCube gets to 200K.
No, it's less than 300.
Well, it's less than 1,000. It's 199K shown
Yeah,
there.
you go.
So I don't see the details, but anyway, it's a good start. If you are not subscribed already, just do it so we can make the 200K during this session. Well, to be honest, I don't think so, but I'm hoping.
I don't know. It's close.
Yeah, it's close anyway. So during the meeting, please stay on mute and write the questions in the chat. I started the recording already. The guys knows much better than I do what this live Q&A sessions means. So I'll probably leave you for 5 minutes so I can.
That's all right. It's all right. We got this.
I'll stay on my iPad meanwhile, but I will try to restart the.
Good deal.
The machine. Excellent. And come back.
All right.
Thanks again for accepting it, guys. And for everyone else, our next meetup will be on August 26th, but I'll be back.
All right. All right, everyone. So thank you again for joining. Patrick and I love just interacting with the community at large. Q&A sessions are kind of our jam now with our Saturday morning live streams. And so if we don't get to your question here, if there's something burning you want to know, we will be live on Saturday morning on the GuyaNaCube channel, 9:30 a.m. Central Time. I don't know what that is for the time in Romania. So feel free to join us. It'll be in your afternoon So happy to have you. Please make sure you stay on mute. We may, if you do have a question, we may have you maybe unmute and ask the question live. So the first question, please put Q colon in front of the question so we can kind of call it out from the chat. And we will do that. Unfortunately, we don't have Chatmaster C, who is a staple on the Guy in a Cube channel. She normally like queues things up for us and keeps the chat kind of in line. But we don't have that, so we're just gonna wing it on the Teams chat.
I'll try to be back.
All right. So Christian is the new Chatmaster C. Excellent.
Still we see.
And he's bald also, so it's fine. So, all right. So Kumar, Gopa Kumar, if you wanna, you had the first question that I saw in there. If you wanna unmute and just ask the question, we can take it live. Look at that. That's new for us, Patrick.
It is.
No bad words. No bad words, please. I don't have the beep.
Yeah, no bad.
I think he's talking to me.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Adam.
Hey.
So my question is regarding direct query over Power BI data set.
Yeah, attendees, please. I know you're behaving.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So over Power BI data set, so it is not the normal direct query over a SQL Server or something. So what is the difference, the performance wise over a direct connection to a data set and direct query over to a data set? Because suppose we want to make local measures, we create a enter data one table and then we add the measures there so that it doesn't get deleted. Suppose we change the data direct query to a data set so that the local measure stays with it. So what is the performance difference between a direct query over a data set and direct connection over a data set? Because I assume both are running now DAX queries over a Vertipack engine, not sending out SQL queries to a server. So should this be called differently? Because it makes because direct query have all the caveats that it is not appropriate and things like that. So what's your take on that?
So I'm going to start off with the normal answer. Patrick knows it's coming. It depends. And the first off, I want to address the whole direct query in general. Like, it's not good. I would say direct query for certain scenarios is great and very appropriate. The challenge I normally see with general direct query is that people don't necessarily do the testing and the optimization that's required for it to be effective. And so they just slap it in there and expect it to work, and then it's just not great for their particular deployment. So there are scenarios where direct query is absolutely great and perfectly viable. So I just want to get that off the table. I don't know, Patrick, do you want to talk about the composite modeling direct query over AS?
If it's imported, so that's a challenge, right? So if we're creating if you can live connect into a data set and it's imported, it's going to run DAX, it's going to be all in memory. You shouldn't see too much performance degradation. The challenge is if you start combining. If you start combining multiple data sets. So if I have an imported data set and another imported data set and I combine those data sets, you really need to be careful and think about the cardinality of what you're combining. Because if that cardinality is really high, Power BI has to materialize queries under the cover, and it'll have to materialize depending on where it's going, and it'll actually send all that over to the other data set, and that could affect performance. And so when I think of if I'm connecting to a Power BI data set, I use the composite model feature as a complement of the data set because combining very large tables across those composite models can hinder performance. If you're creating measures, it's the same thing, right? Whatever you're doing in the DAX, if you're materializing things in the DAX, also, if it's high cardinality, anything like that, it can affect performance. But when we're comparing direct query to SQL and direct query to Power BI data sets, it's two different things we're talking about. But the bottleneck is the backend source or the data set. If the backend Power BI data set is bad, the performance is going to be bad. If your SQL Server or Oracle Server is slow, your queries are going to be slow. So my preference, and I'm just going to get off my soapbox here in a little bit, but avoid direct query to your underlying data source as much as you can. If there's no real-time requirements, don't do it. Import it, connect to your Power BI data set. But if you need to do direct query to the underlying data source, like Adam says, it works most of the time, but you got to make sure that that backend source can perform.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Cool. All right.
Back in business.
Back in business.
Everything works now.
Yeah, I was gonna say your camera looks much better now. It's
I
not
know, it looks great.
And I'm not freezing anymore, huh?
Yeah.
No, and you're like, whoa.
Third reboot was a charm.
Exactly.
All right.
What's the next question?
So I'm gonna probably butcher some of these names. I apologize. Taras, did you want to unmute and ask your question? If not, we can read it.
Let's go for it. Read it.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello, everybody. Hi, Adam, Patrick. Could you describe your usual working day? What you do on daily basis? What's your schedule? Meetings, solving of clients' problems. What else and how?
Yes. Yes,
If it's
Patrick. Please
possible.
share what your typical day is like.
Thanks.
Love this question. Love this.
We were just talking about this earlier today.
So I'm first. I'm going first.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're first because it's gonna be short. Sorry.
So if you guys don't know, I used to work on the Power BI Cat team. Adam and I were on the same team. Actually, Adam was my manager for a little bit, and then I got the opportunity to change teams. I won't get in the details of the role or the name of it because Adam always gives me a hard time about it.
Chief Technical Evangelist for Power BI. I think I got it right.
And so I'm an evangelist for Power BI. We'll just say that. And so what I've been doing lately is I get on calls and talk about what Power BI does with analysts. I manage the analyst relationships with people like Forrester and Gartner and answer a lot of questions with them. Those are far in between though, right? It's not a constant thing. But what I'm working on right now is a lot of the Power BI sessions. So I'm putting together sessions. Everything's remote these days. So I'm recording a lot of sessions for like we have a conference coming up, Data Platform Summit. And then I'm working internally with a lot of the internal teams to put some content out for our internal sellers so they can go out and sell Power BI. So my day is no customer engagements lately. And I do what we call executive briefings. And so I go and meet with these EBC sessions. And so people like, large customers want to learn more about Power BI. We'll deliver like a strategy, vision, and roadmap session for them. So yeah, it wasn't that short, Adam.
There you go. There you go. Well, and I would also say like things like this are also part of what Patrick does, right?
Yes. Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
All right. So on my side, so Patrick mentioned the Power BI Cat team is the customer advisory team. This is part of the product group. It's the customer arm and working with the largest enterprise customers in the world. So I think the product team has said something like 95 or more than 95% of the Forbes 500 are using 97%. Power BI.
97%.
97%. There you go. The official evangelist can say that.
That's right.
Yeah. So like, you name the company on the Forbes 500, our team is probably working with them. And so we do things like roadmap discussions. We do just, general understanding what their blockers are for adoption. Our focus is really to drive adoption within the product. So yeah, it's a lot of deep technical discussions. Was just working with one customer trying to optimize their row-level security. So the video that dropped today on GuineCube was a direct result of that customer engagement because I had to go figure that out. And so that, and that was actually going through and, stepping through their performance on their data. That's what I did for like 2-3 hours yesterday morning. So that's kind of the stuff that I work on. And then those things translate into, sessions at conferences or user group meetings like this. They translate into videos that we do. They translate into the guidance documentation out on Power BI. And then also we take a lot of that feedback from customers and funnel that back into the engineering team for just as a voice of the customer and what they do.
So I think both of us forgot one thing. We both forgot one thing. We talk to each other a lot during the day.
We do talk to each other. Yes.
We do. We talk a lot during the day.
Yeah. And so my day normally starts, I'm up and running by like 5 a.m. In the morning, sometimes earlier than that. And then, doing GuineCube stuff early in the morning, and then, around 7, 8 a.m. cutting over to the Microsoft side, and then, doing that stuff, and then calling it a day, around 5:30 or so, making dinner for the family, and then moving on to the next day.
So just before moving to the next questions, I
Okay.
think we'll take one from the chat, the next
Okay.
one, whichever you want, and then please use this QR code, and we should use this one because otherwise in the chat, it's exactly like in your live sessions. It's
Cool.
Questions, comments, very
Not
difficult.
exactly the same, but yeah.
Yeah.
All good.
And I'm not Chatmaster C.
Yeah.
I cannot handle it.
It's all good. All right. So we'll do one more from the chat, and everyone else get your questions over in Pigeonhole, and then people can vote, I think, on those things as well. So that helps with gauging what people are interested in hearing. So I think Flavius, your Fortuna, I think your question was next. I don't know if you want to unmute and ask the question.
Flavius?
No unmute. I can't unmute. Go ahead, Ax.
Okay. All right. So what would be the most useful and the most used SQL statements in Power BI, Power Query? So I'm going to start this. Yeah, I'm going to start this one, Patrick, and then you go. So the auto-generated T-SQL that Power Query generates is always the best SQL. So in seriousness, the question is interesting because it's like, are you purposely like generating your own T-SQL statements like through a native query? Like normally I would recommend not doing that unless there's a really specific need to do that. So I almost need a little more context on that question, because normally, like when I'm working with Power BI and Power Query, I'm not handwriting SQL statements. Yeah, okay, you go. I think
go finish. Go, keep going.
Well, I was going to say, if you have to do that, I recommend sticking it in like a view on the data source side and just encapsulate it so that you're not having to do that directly in Power BI.
But the most important is select. That's all you want to do. You don't want to do inserts, updates, deletes. You don't want to do any data manipulation. All you want to do is read data. And so, I mean, I actually talked to someone without a stored procedure that's updating and inserting. You don't know how many times those queries are going to run. So if you're doing data manipulation inside those SQL statements, you could really fudge something up like that. And so the select is probably the most common thing that you would use with Power BI. That's the only thing you should use. Is a select statement.
Select star all the things.
Select star.
Yeah. Always.
Don't do that.
Especially if it's a large table, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I see that Chuy's question.
This question
is the first one.
All right.
With 2 votes. No.
All right. So what is your position on allowing custom visuals either from third party or using the Power BI Visuals SDK? My concern is about support, security, and governance.
Yep.
Go for it, Patrick.
You know, I keep saying I'm going to do a video on this. And I actually talked to, I don't know if you guys know, Kratos, it's Chris Wagner. Chris and I chatted about this a little bit. You can control what people can do. Because I'm skipping all the way to the last sentence. My concern is about support, security, and governance. You can control the custom visuals that people can use in your organization, Julie. And so a lot of people don't, and I'm sure you know this already, Julie, but a lot of people don't realize that you can do that, you know? So worrying about what they can do and what they can use, you can control that part. Now, what the custom visual is doing is a whole different story. And so to be honest with you, Adam and I, at least me, if you look at most of the reports and the demos that we do, you'll probably never see a custom visual, unless it's that aquarium one that Adam likes to show often. So if I can solve my problems with the native visual, if I can answer the questions with the native visual, I try to always defer to the native visual. I'm only going out to custom visuals when it's absolutely necessary. And the first custom visuals I start with are the certified ones, because they've made it up the food chain, and they'll likely have better support, better security, and better governance around those. Now, when I go beyond that, you know, yeah, I agree with you. There are some concerns there, and I try to avoid those. That's just me. Not saying that you shouldn't use, you know, the whole library of custom visuals isn't something that's available to you, but like you say, you need to be aware of support, security, and governance. That's just the process I take to it. Adam, you want to?
Yep. Yeah, the other piece of that too is, I mean, the certified visuals, typically what I see with large enterprise customers is they just have a general policy that they only allow certified visuals. They will not allow a visual that's not certified. But that's up to your internal review process and whatever your governance strategy is.
Okay, one question from Oz.
This is all Adam.
All right. What's the future? Is that the right one?
Do you have any insight?
The first one with from Oz.
That
any
one.
insights into
All right,
why?
Patrick, I'm gonna have you read that because when it's on my little iPad, it's hard to read.
Do you have any insights into why for so long Power BI couldn't be used with Gmail or Yahoo and required people to be on the same email domain? That hurt a lot of, I think it said independent consultants. I think I saw this question up there. You did a video on this. You did a video on this, I remember.
Did I?
Yep.
What'd I say?
I don't remember, but
yeah, we would need Alex now. Hey, Alex.
No. That's not, yeah. So the Power BI is backed by Azure Active Directory. And so that is an enterprise tenant, right? So it's an enterprise organization, or like a structure of maintaining accounts and items like that. And so there were things that came about in improvements for that over time. Some of that was the business to business collaboration. So tenants being able to have guests with one another. And then also some of the aspects of that was the ability to share with non-organizational email accounts such as Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook, those items that aren't backed by like an organizational account, which would be the Active Directory tenant. And so, yes, today you can share those items if external sharing is enabled for your tenant itself. But you still can't necessarily like log in and use Power BI with that account. You can log into the hosting portal, but like you can't spin up your own tenant with like a Gmail account or Hotmail account. If you try to do that, it'll tell you have to have a organizational account to do that. So that's kind of where it is. Power BI is meant as like an enterprise tool. So
I just found out something else. I can highlight.
Oh, there it is.
Nice.
It's much easier to read.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
So I hope that was okay. The answer was okay. I have one here.
All right. What's the future for more better native visuals? Oh, from Mr. David. Hello, David.
So from what I know is, I mean, we've added, you know, some new AI visuals, right? We've continued to enhance and add the AI visuals. And then you saw recently that the Power Automate visual was made native to Power BI. But there's I think the focus right now, and Adam, correct me, I haven't heard anything, but the focus right now is making the the existing native visuals as flexible as possible. If you look at the July release, there was a lot of updates to conditional format, and you can almost conditionally format everything in the existing visuals. And I think, you know, that's the focus right now. And that's not to say that we won't see more, you know, better native visuals in the future, but the focus right now is to make the ones that we have great, you know, better. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's always continued work, and the team's always looking to, you know, enhance different things. So it's a journey. And also Power BI is a big team, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. So yeah. So there's not much more we can comment past that, but you know, keep your eye on the upcoming updates, get your feedback into those, whether it's comments on the releases or, dare I say, ideas.powerbi.com, which I seriously mean that. Yes. I know there's some folks that maybe don't think that that's really looked at, but it is.
It's really looked at. I'm learning more and more in this new role that ideas.powerbi.com is really important to the product. Yep. Sorry about that.
Okay, next one from Jane. In
large enterprise setting, will it be better to create the semantic layer in Power BI Premium Gen 2 rather than analysis services? It's SSAS, which I'm going to say that that's on-prem analysis services. Look, the cloud is the future. So Kevin, I'm not even going to say it depends on this one. I saw your chat there. That doesn't even deserve an it depends. I'm always going to pick cloud over on-prem. Management is easier of it. The feature releases that happen on the cloud side are much faster.
Yeah.
So it's just, you're going to have better flexibility if you go to the cloud. So I would absolutely favor, you know, Power BI Premium over AS on-prem. So.
I have.
That was a good question, though.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Tanya, yeah, it's working even if I'm clicking it on the screen. Much better now.
All right.
Look at this.
Why is it so slow when I import Excel files from SharePoint? Didn't you do a video on this?
I thought so. It's just slow, man. It's just slow. Stay away from it. Stay away from it. It's just slow. Yeah. I don't know why.
Is it true that CSVs are much faster?
Yes, CSVs are much faster.
And that's not specific to the SharePoint piece of it. That's just CSV. I remember Chris Webb was saying that he did some testing, and it's actually faster to process CSVs than it is Excel files. Yeah. The SharePoint piece of this, though, you're also going through the OData feed of SharePoint, which can add performance overhead on top of it. So I know it gives some flexibility there because you're getting it from the cloud source, but just know that it's going to be a little bit of overhead.
Because there's so many layers, right? I'm not just going to Excel. I'm going to SharePoint and Excel. It's just, you're adding a lot of layers there.
Yep.
Nick says everybody wants to put a data in Excel. Everybody wants to.
Nick is not wrong.
Next one with 2 votes.
What's the need of API version equals 14, and what's the difference between 15 and auto?
That's all you, buddy.
I need some context on that. Is that the Power BI API? Is that the 14 and 15 looks like SharePoint?
Hello. Yes, Michael here. That was my question.
Yeah.
It goes to SharePoint. Like when I'm importing SharePoint, next to the source, I have the source, and next to it, I have the API version. Either it's 14 or 15, and either auto.
Yes. So the 14 and 15 denotes the version of SharePoint. So it's the version of the API for compatibility reasons. So the connector in itself doesn't know what you're connecting to. And so it's kind of a hint for it to say, because what my guess is, this is purely speculation, but just how APIs work, is SharePoint version 14, which I don't know which one that was, probably had a difference in implementation than the version 15 had. And so that's why you can call out specifically which one you're going to. If you choose auto, it's going to try and discover which one is the right one. But if you give it the hint, obviously it's going to just go with that one.
First jag tog fel. Det började klockan 6. Det var det om 2 veckor som började 6:30.
I think it's not with us.
Okay.
Okay, next one. Next one from Chui.
Ja, då var jag på toaletten.
All right. Would you ever feel overwhelmed by all new features being released in Power BI? Is it fair to say that sometimes the Power BI train goes so fast? Well, yeah, it goes fast. And yes, it's hard. How many times, Patrick, you and I talked to each other, and there was one specifically that you called me up. You're like, look at that checkbox. I'm like, oh, that's magical. When would you say that was implemented? I'm like, oh, that must have been like last month. He's like, no. Last year. And I'm like,
Last
what?
year?
Like,
What the French toast?
like, oh my gosh. So yes, it happens fast, and it's impossible to, keep up with all of the changes, but I'm okay. I don't want them to stop. I don't want them to slow down. I want to innovate. I want new ideas. I want ability to do different things. There are things that happen in the product sometimes that don't necessarily relate to what I'm specifically doing with the product, but other people relate to that specific feature or use case, right? So it's trying to accommodate a lot of different scenarios that affect a lot of different businesses. And I may be kind of like, I'm doing my thing and I know what I need. And so that feature doesn't really have anything to do with me. And so I'm maybe not paying attention to that as much as I would other items. And I can miss things also as a result. So yeah, I agree. It's fast and furious. It's been that way since the very beginning. I'm impressed that it's maintained that over the years. I know that was one thing I always wondered when it first started. I'm like, wow, are they really going to be able to keep up this pace? And yes, they have. And I love it.
Has any piece of software had this pace? Right? I don't think there's any software that's had the pace of innovation. And I don't know all software out in the world, but I don't think any piece of software has continued this pace. But imagine if it was the opposite. Imagine if we were waiting for major releases. Like, if you guys, I'm going to date myself, but I remember going from SQL Server 7.0 to SQL Server.
I thought you were going to say punch cards.
I remember going from 7.0 to 2000, and it was like a whole new world.
Oh yeah.
Then we went from 2000 to 2005, and I was like, whoa, look at this. But look at the gaps.
2005 to 2008. I was like, another re-architecture. Right.
And so,
and I remember when that was fast. I was like,
yeah.
But sometimes it feels like living with the dad who's got 5 half-assed projects that are not done, but he's starting another one. He's got a 6th one and a 7th one.
I disagree. I disagree because a lot of
it feels like that to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things that they're releasing aren't half baked, right? Most of these things that are coming out, they let you know, hey, they're in preview, or hey, this piece of the software is ready to go. So that's why you have the preview option. If you don't want to test something that may be half baked, uncheck it and don't use it. So it's a train. It is a train, but I would rather have this train than the slow train. I'd rather be on
fun fact, the actual release cycle, the weekly release cycles that they have are referred to as trains.
Yeah, I'd rather have those than one release every couple of years.
Yep.
Chui is right. Sometimes I feel that it's a full-time job only to keep up.
Yes. Agree. I agree.
Really complicated to know everything, and
I don't even try. Everything. I don't try.
We just run across them. And go, whoa, did you see that?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
What's next?
What's your internal way of keeping up with all the power? This is the one that.
This relates to the last question.
Yeah.
Patrick and I probably have a unique experience on this just because we work at Microsoft and we work on the product team, and so we have discussions internally. And I remember Matthew Roach was saying something on Twitter where it's like he finally sees the release of something that like we've probably known about for a couple months now. And so we do hear about things way beforehand. But I would also say generally, like, read the blogs, read the release blogs, and keep up with those. That's the best way just the best approach to do that. I will selfishly say when I was doing the weekly roundups, don't give me any shade. Don't give me any shade for that.
We miss them. We miss them. We need them back.
Exactly. Well,
anyway,
an evangelist could do that, right?
When I was doing the weekly roundups, part of that was selfish for me because it forced me to actually like stay on top of all the blogs, and that's actually what helped me to keep up with everything. But so it was just read the blog, like read the actual release blogs that come out. They come out fairly quick, but they also try and do like the monthly summaries, look at the Power BI desktop update, see what's inside of it. You know, you don't have to be an expert on it, but just, you know, glance through it and just try and, you know, make a mental note of like, oh, okay, that's kind of what's going on, or this is maybe something that's coming, or maybe something I want to look at in the future of a possibility I want to implement that. So I just do the blogs. And then the release plans also, Nick called that out. The release plans are a good way to see, that's kind of the roadmap of Power BI. So you can kind of see what's coming down the pipe. Those are the big ticket items.
What to expect, right?
Yep.
Okay, next one from Christy.
All right. Besides the roadmap, which we just talked about, the release plan, are there any plans on do what?
Everything relates here. A question to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, this is your question. Oh,
no.
Look at
that. It's another Christian. It's also from Romania.
There we go.
It's also live your session.
Yeah. I know both of you. I get you guys mixed up every once in a while. So besides the roadmap, are there any plans on improving the data flow performance? We should have invited Matthew also. I would say, look, when it comes to performance all up, I guarantee you the teams are always looking at that. They're always looking for ways to improve. Some of those may not happen, you know, quickly. They may take longer because sometimes they're just a lot more complicated. And it takes a while and there may be multiple pieces involved to get that performance improved. But yeah, the team's always looking at that. So I don't have anything specifically I can comment on, but yeah, it's always looked at.
Data flows.
Next question.
All right. Performance-wise, do you recommend using images as headers and buttons and informational tips? No.
Good question.
I don't.
No. It's a good question.
Well, go ahead.
It's a good question. If you can, I try to minimize as many images on my report as possible, you know? And so if I can bake that stuff into the background, first, that's the first layer, you know, on the report. And I try to make that background as small as possible, as clean as possible. Then I start thinking about buttons. And I know you can bring in images and make those buttons, but if it's not necessary, you know, if text will solve it with a button with just some text on it, do it. But then people take it to the next level and do, you know, more images, just so you can have it on their little cards and add more images. So I try to minimize, just from my perspective, because all of that has to be rendered. All that is taken into account when the report is rendered and all the processing happens. So try to minimize the images as much as you can, but you know, you work with your users, your report consumers, and try to come up with a healthy balance. That's about it.
Let me clarify my no. Patrick touched on it, but I want to clarify my no. If we're just talking images, not for the purpose of buttons,
yeah,
my answer there is no, because I would bake that into the background image. So the thing to understand is that every image, every text box, every button, those all count as visuals. And so the name of the game is reducing the number of visuals on the report canvas. So so instead of query squishing, Patrick, it's visual squishing.
Visual squishing.
And so you want to limit that, right? So so if it's just a static text or static image, bake that into the background if you can, because it frees up all the resources. So cool.
Thank you.
Yep. Any tips on doing source code compare of online reports or Power BI desktop files? Well, so this question is a subtle reference to source control and you know, diff expressions, things of that nature. So right now there's limitations on that, right? So the Power BI desktop file itself is just like a binary file. And so you can't really do that. Like from a source control perspective, you're just going to use that as a binary blob. So you can't do a diff or compare on that. There are elements of Power BI that you can do that with. So like the modeling aspects of it. So you can get the model information like the BIM file and then check that into source control. And if you're using premium, then you can take advantage of the XMLA endpoint to do those things. If you're doing Power Query, you could capture the text of the Power Query query, and you could do diffs on that, right? It's just text. But the actual report itself and the Power BI desktop file elements themselves, there's not really a way to do an actual supported diff or comparison. I know there's people out there that have hacked it a little bit, but that's why I said there's no supported way to do that. Yeah, and then Nick calls out the unsupported way. So yes.
Well, next one. I love it.
When are you coming to Europe or better in Romania? So first off, I've not been to Romania yet. I would love to go there.
You should, both of you.
So right now, we are scheduled to be at Data Mines Connect in Belgium in October. And are my fingers crossed that actually works out. The way the news is going right now, who knows? Who knows? But right now that's the plan. Past that, we haven't scheduled anything, nothing, not even in the US past that. So stay tuned. But yeah, right now we'll be in Belgium in October.
So not
Man,
this
I hope
season.
so. Man, I hope so. Man, I hope so.
So, yeah.
In Romania, maybe next year, right?
You never know. There's actually a lot of places I would like to go. Romania is one of them. So it depends on the events and where things land on the schedule, and so I mean it depends. But it is on my list to go to.
Then we do a live Q&A.
Yeah. Would love that.
Yeah.
We would love that. And we can be your guides here in Romania.
Would love that too. All right. How best to generate report from one data set in import mode, one data set as cube, and one Excel file? Composite models?
I think is the cube the semantic layer you're talking about? The semantic model, is that?
The way I read that was we have a data set in Power BI.
Yeah.
We have a cube. I'm going to assume that's a tabular model and not a multidimensional cube. And that hopefully is in Azure Analysis Services, not on premises. And then we also have an Excel file. So that I would say composite model. So direct query over AS data set or over Power BI data sets and Azure Analysis Services. If it's on premises Analysis Services tabular, that does not work today. So you'll have to wait on that part in terms of using the composite model feature over the on-prem piece. They said it's on-prem. Yeah, that's not going to work. So
sorry.
Yeah, that's not going to work. That is a current limitation for the on-prem piece.
Everything just
so now you could migrate your on-prem tabular model to like Azure AS or Power BI Premium, and then it's just a data set, and then you can do it. So that's an option.
Okay.
Well, there was a follow-up in the chat. Can I use the direct query techniques? I mean, for the on-prem connection, it's specific. So you're not going to you can't do the direct query over AS with that because it's on-prem. So you'd actually have to import it if you wanted to use that data, and that's not a good. I don't necessarily recommend that.
Don't do it.
So the quickest way, if you need to do it like today, would be to migrate that on-prem one to either Azure Analysis Services or Power BI Premium. And you're already in Premium with a data set, or I hope you are. So I would go that route, but Azure AS would work also.
Yeah. Next question.
Okay, next one.
This is a good one. Look at this one.
I don't see anything.
I got a quick glance of it.
Oh. Is it possible to import Word documents with Power Query?
Save it as a PDF, and then you can scrape the PDF.
There you go.
There's a native PDF connector. There's a native PDF connector in Power BI. So save the Word document as a PDF and import it.
Yeah. I would hopefully there's tables though also. So I'm assuming there's a table in the Word doc that you're trying to extract.
An Excel table,
man. Workaround. I remember Mark, the manager of the CAT team, he goes, Patrick, you are the king of workarounds. Yes, I am. Yeah. Work around it. Yep. Work around it.
Work around it. Hey, you could always write your own like custom connector.
Oh, yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah, but it's much more complicated.
Yes, it is. Well, that wasn't part of the question. We didn't say make it easy.
Yeah.
Is there a CAT team? All right. Is there a CAT team for Power Automate and Power Apps, or do you cover that also? Now, we are just Power BI. There is actually a CAT team for Power Automate and Power Apps. So our team, my team is called Power BI CAT. Their team is called Power CAT.
Power CAT. Power CAT.
Yeah. So their team it's a little different though, because I think they focus more on like implementation and they get their hands dirty, I think, a little more than we do. That's my understanding.
They do, don't they? They do.
Yeah.
Yes,
The teams are set up a little different.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sad it's not the Power Dog team. Like I like dogs. That's fine. All right. Cool. But yes, there is a CAT team for those items. Is there any reason why Power BI does not allow me to change a one-to-many relationship into a many-to-one when I change the data set positions?
Yeah. No, it's all based on your data. That's all based on your data. Power BI does some very good checking of that data during the import, or if you're using direct query, it does a validation. Don't skip the validation if you're using direct query, because if you skip the validation, it may land that relationship in the wrong way. Believe me, it just happened to me the other day. So it's all based on the metadata. It's all based on the data that it's checking when it creates that relationship. So if it's not valid to go that way, it's just not going to let you do it.
I do appreciate Nick in the chat, and it could be the Thundercat team if there was a product called Thunder.
Yeah.
I love that. All right,
Adam, just for your information, Nick in the chat, it's the Avenger Dead.
Oh, I know.
In your life.
Oh, that's I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew that. I caught that from a comment earlier on. Because he said he was going to be in Branson, and he's going to wear his Avenger shirt. I immediately knew who that was. Yep. All right, cool. Smart narrative. Oh, Patrick, you just did a video on this. Can we do custom dynamic and static narratives? Watch Patrick's video. But it's in preview. Is it okay to use in a prod environment? Yes, absolutely. So the thing to understand about preview items is there could be some tweaks and changes. One of those things that items in preview is they want to get more information and customer evidence on it to see if there's any tweaks or changes or something that needs to happen. Typically, though, the preview items themselves, like if you were they are supported. So if you call up support, you have an issue, you can get help on it. Now, the caveat I'll put on that, though, is that it may not be like a right away, oh, yeah, here's your answer. It may be, okay, cool, thank you for the feedback. We need to make X change, and it's going to take a little bit to get out. So it may not be an immediate change. That's something to be aware of. But yes, they are. It'll be best effort support on those items.
Yeah, they're solid gold. I actually reported something the other day on the smart narrative when I was building the video out, and they were like, "Yep, thank you. That'll be it. It's in a train right now. You should see it pretty soon."
Oh, all right. It was already in a train, so it wasn't in the backlog.
Mm-hmm. No, nice. No. I was like, and they were like,
"Oh, that text." Yeah, if Patrick gets told it's in a train, that means it's coming.
Yeah.
Choo choo. All right.
Next one.
Moving on.
We are getting closer. To the end.
You can add descriptions to the table and column, but is there a way to add these descriptions to a visual, like in a tooltip? This way you can explain what the column is in a visual. You could hand type it in.
But wait a minute. It said you can add a description to a table in a column. Is there a way?
That's from the model perspective.
No, but you
So
can
there's
add
not,
a
that
tooltip.
doesn't surface in the visual.
Oh, I gotcha. I see.
Right.
I
So
see.
it'll
I
surface
see.
like if you're creating a report and you hover over the table or measure in the field well, it'll show up there in the tooltip.
Yes.
But in the visual itself, it won't.
I
Yeah, you'd have to do like some custom stuff from like tooltip perspectives to try and like recreate some of that. Or you know what I like is, I mean, it's not on a per field or per table basis, but it's on a per visual basis. It's kind of like that info overlay. The video I did where you can explain like what things are doing. So that tends to be pretty helpful.
That's
So again, king of workarounds.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's the way I would go. Yep. Kevin and Nick in the chat, they're on it. They were even putting that in there as I was saying it. That's nice. Information panels, create the overlays with bookmarks. Got a video on it. Look at Nick with a link. There you go. So I have a situation where I need multiple switches to display different KPIs. Is there a solution to avoid those nested switches, which is killing the performance? Will calculation groups help there?
But wait,
Mm-hmm.
we rolled out some optimization for ifs and switches.
Yeah, but I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Like that,
I'm just thinking about that. Have you tested it lately? You know, what's the performance like? But what else is going on? You know, so there's so many.
Well, what's your end goal?
Right, and because calculation groups may help, they may help, but I don't know what's between the calculation group and the switches. I don't know what, or even before the switches.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what's the end goal. So calculation groups, I love calculation groups. I do.
So another approach, so that would probably do that probably involve the switches of where you're doing the like the disconnected table approach. So that wouldn't necessarily help. Yeah, I mean, we need to know kind of more on that. But there were some optimizations for switch, but I'm guessing that's not going to help your particular situation. So I would try calculation groups if that fits your need. I don't know what the end goal is for your report and what you're trying to display. So
because if you have the same logic across all those KPIs and you're just changing the measure, a calculation group may help, because in that calculation group you're just going to say selected measure, and then you'll have a calculation item for each one of those things that you're the logic, right? But if the logic is different across the measures and across the KPIs, I don't know if calculation group is going to help. Because with a calculation group, you're just replacing the measure inside, repeating the logic over the same measure over and over. And if it's different logic, calculation group may not help.
Yep. So I think what Patrick was trying to say was it depends.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it depends.
All right. How do you use the
3 more? Maybe we can finish them all.
Yep. How do you use the default pipeline for Power BI report releases when you have GitHub in place? So I think what we're referring to is the deployment pipelines inside of Power BI. There was recently GitHub integration. So there's an API that's available now for deployment pipelines. Let's see if I can get it real quick. Unless someone else beats me to it. Bam, here we go. Already got it.
You're fancy.
There we go. So check out that feature. So there's some API stuff that you can do there. I haven't read this specifically, but I know that there is some hooks that you can do for it. So see if that ends up working for you.
Okay, and last 2 questions.
Oh, and that was part of the release plan that I sent. So that's not the actual feature release blog. So I screwed that up. So, but check it out. Check it out. There are some information there. All right. Do all Power BI Pro customers have access to support, or just certain customers based on their licensing? So, if you are actually pro licensed customers can submit a support ticket through support.microsoft.com or through Power BI support.powerbi.com. That's usually like a web ticket, so like over email support. There are other ways to get support. So like you can pay, or you can like if you have premier contracts through your organization, that's other ways to get support. But there's also an issue tracking board through support.powerbi.com that you can get support there as well. So those are kind of the different options. Cool. All right, let's hit this last one, and then I want to add. There was a question that came up in the chat. Yep. Best way to manage the subscriptions from admin perspective for all workspace levels. There's no way to do that. So one of the things that the team is very focused on is like admin and governance. Again, I can't comment on anything. Keep your eye on like release plans and what they're doing with subscriptions. I don't remember if there was anything in the wave 2 that talked about subscriptions. I want to say there was.
I thought it was about refreshes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. But yeah, stay tuned on that. So I know they're keep the feedback coming. So that's something that's important there. So and then just there was a question in the chat from Jim. What kind of headphones is Patrick sporting? Those are some cheap headphones that he's got. Those are like $12 specials right there. I decided not to put mine on, but yeah. Yes, Nick is right. The M6, they're cheap on Amazon. It's like $12.
They're great though. They're great.
They work. Yeah, they work to kind of hide the headphone. I didn't go that way today, so
as long as they are doing their job, they are okay.
Yep.
So
they don't sound like Beats headphones, but you know.
Yeah, of course not.
For this, they get the job done.
These are great. These sound great. But
yes, these sound great also.
Yeah, but these get the job done.
Yeah. Guys, thank you again for accepting our
thanks
invitation.
Everyone.
It was great having you here, and hopefully you'll come again sometime in the future. Meanwhile, we'll be joining your live session on Saturday as usual.
I'm gonna put a link in the chat just to promote that. So that's the link to our live stream on Saturday morning. Would love to have you there if you can make it. So
number 60.
Yeah, it's the 60th live stream that we've done. So our first one was in February of 2020, and we've done 60 of them so far.
I didn't know.
59 actually.
What?
If this is the 61, you had 59.
Well, yeah, we've done 59. Yeah, so Saturday. Yes. Okay.
Anyway,
sorry. I can't do math, so it's fine.
By Saturday, you'll be 200K for sure.
Definitely. We're going to hit today or tomorrow. So Saturday, definitely for sure. Yep.
Thanks again,
all right,
guys.
everyone. Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for spending time with us.
See you on the 26th of August for the crew. Special thanks to our SML crew, which is here. And hopefully you can join one of our meetings, which is 1 hour before your live stream. Maybe we can switch it earlier or in a different day.
There you go.
So that you don't have any problems setting everything up. Thanks again, guys. Thank you, everyone.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
It was great having you.
Yep.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Bye.